And after you leave a like, remember to smash the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed to my channel as yet. And remember to hit the notification bell so every time I post a video, you can know right away. Subscribe, 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 subscribe. What's up, my YouTube friends, viewers, subscribers, everybody? Welcome back to another banger motivational video. Let's get it. Ghost everyone and focus on yourself. And the reason I say this is people are distraction. Some people will literally stop you from getting where you're trying to go. Some people literally be draining your energy. Anything that seems like it's harder than what it needs to be, ghost them. If they're draining your energy, ghost them. If they're all negative, ghost them. Because when you have certain people around you, it determines where you're heading. Because like they always say, your friends show who you are. So whoever you hang around with shows the type of character that you are, because people hang out with stuff that they're interested in. So with that being said, if you're one of the 2% of people that want to go above and beyond, you don't want to work for somebody else your whole life, you're going to have to ghost everybody and focus on yourself. Because when you don't have nobody around you, you ain't got no distraction. That's just how I see it. Because the more you're around people, the more distractions that they are out there. So with that being said, while you're focusing on yourself, I strongly recommend ghost everybody. You got to say no to the club. You got to say no to the sports bar. You got to say no to a couple of events. Until you get where you're trying to go, then you can celebrate. That's how I think it should be. Because especially if you're just starting, you're going to have to go harder if you just started. You may have a regular job like everybody else, which is fine. But when you're focusing on yourself, you got to go to everybody. Because you're going to have everybody. Oh, we should go here. We should go there. We should do this. We should do that. And sometimes the reason why it's taking longer for you than how it should be is because you drop everything that you're doing to go be beneficial to somebody else. No. Get your stuff done first and then you go celebrate. Because me, that's how I live my life. I work a regular job like everybody else. I got my career focusing on. So when everything is all balanced, then I will go say, have a drink, go out with friends, go do something. Because my job has been done. Because you got to remember, what you like and what you're passionate about, whoever you're hanging out with probably don't like the same thing, and they're probably passionate about nothing. They probably still have no idea of who they really are. So when you figure out who you really are and you find what you love and you want to use that to, say, be like a career for yourself that you can get money from it, and you're now pursuing it, I would strongly recommend you get your stuff done first, and then later you can go hang out with them. Because like I always say, you need balance. Like you can't just be working right now. You need balance. But before you go have fun, make sure your stuff for the day is being completed. So when you wake up in the morning, you got to say, okay, I got 3 stuff to do today. Then I will see what I will do after. Make sure you complete all those 3 stuff, because that's going to be beneficial to you. You need to make sure you are number one in your life. That's how this world is. You got to go to everybody. Everybody else comes after you. Because at the end of the day, wherever you end up and wherever you are in life is fully in your control and depend on you. So if you spend most of your life hanging around with people that's doing nothing for themselves, at the end of the day, you're going to look at yourself and then you're going to see that you're absolutely nowhere. And then what you're going to say, oh, if I know I was going to end up like this, I would have stayed home. I would have said no to all my friends. No. This is why a lot of people are getting nowhere. That's why. That is why. Sometimes you got to put like fun. You got to put that to the side and focus on yourself. Ghost everyone, because bro, people are a distraction. Well, some people are a distraction because some people sponsor goals to your life. So like you may sit down with somebody and just from you communicating with them, there's a like connection where you guys are not say on the same level mentally, but come to an understanding that you guys know who you really are and you guys are fully aware of whatever you guys trying to go. That's different. But all the negativity, all the draining energy, all those kind of stuff, you gotta ghost all those type of people and focus on yourself. If they want to go to party and you're focusing on yourself, you're not missing out. I'm telling you, you are not missing out. Because you may sit down and you may look within yourself and say, "Oh, I wanna achieve this before I start partying." Because I think it's gonna be better. Don't look at all your friends going all over the place. No, 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 no. If you are focusing on yourself and your friends are partying, you're not missing out. You may think you are because you look at their stories and everybody drinking, having fun, doing this, doing that, blah, 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 blah. And you sit down with yourself and you're focusing on your stuff. You are not missing out. Trust me. You are not missing out. And for me, I strongly think when you're in your 20s, that's when you need to be grinding your hardest. So when you're 30, you can sort of relax for a bit and you can go see the world. You can start a family if you want. You can get married. You can do all this type of stuff because you already have some money coming in. So if you party throughout your whole 20s, you're going to be working in your 30s. So what you think is best? You don't think it's best to figure out what you're doing in your 20s? Work a regular job, invest in yourself, and try to find some way to start a career or a business or something, pursue something so that way when you hit 30, you are successful because you took 10 years to figure out what you're doing, and by the time you're 30, you don't have to be working for nobody. You can take a vacation without worrying that your paycheck is going to be short. You don't have to ask nobody, "Oh, can I get 2 weeks off, please?" You don't have to ask nobody that. You just go about your business. You probably call in and say, "How's everything?" Or you have other people worrying about your stuff for you. You don't think that's better? You have to go to everybody and focus on yourself. That's life. It may sound harsh at first, but that is life. That is life. And before you do that, you have to literally sit down and look deep within yourself and figure out, like, what is it that you want out of this world? Because a lot of people don't want to work for somebody else. They may have the talents, the gifts, the intelligence, all this kind of stuff, but they use their spare time to do garbage. That's just life. All those stuff you gotta go with everybody. You gotta be isolated. Especially if you don't know who you are, you need to sit down and look like deep within yourself to figure out who you are and what you're good at. So if you have no idea of what you really want to do, that's because you missed the first step. You may get up day by day, going to work, doing your little grocery shopping, having fun, doing this. You missed the first step. The first step is finding out exactly who you are. That's the first step. Because me, I can ask somebody, "What do you really want to be for, like, say, in the future or whatever?" "Oh, I don't know." They don't know. That's because they never thought it through. They really don't know. Like, you can ask a grown person that's like 19, 20, 21, and they don't know. That's because they get up day by day. Like, what they know is probably what they see parents or friends doing. You getting up, you go to work, you come back, you relax, you get up, you do it again, which is fine. But working a 9 to 5 ain't gonna cut it. Sad to say. Because at the end of the day, you're going to look back at yourself and you're going to look at what you could have done differently. So instead of having regrets, you don't think it's better to ghost everyone and take the chance now? Focus on what you're doing now? You don't think that's better? Because the only person that's going to have regrets is you. So when you get up and you're partying every weekend with your friends, they may want to party because they're probably like, "Oh, I'm young. I can do this. I can do that." They're the ones that's going to end up working until they're 60. And I've seen it over and over and over. How much time have you gone to the grocery store, sorry, and you see somebody that's like old, gray hair, working? That's because they enjoy all their young days. They never took the time to figure out how to make themselves, not say successful, but wealthy. That means they always have money coming in, so they can resign from another job and then they have their own business going on. They never took that time out because they never sit down for once and consider what their talent was, what they're interested in, what they're like, their dislike. They never think about the first step. So They get up, they think it's okay to get up, work, come back home, you get paid, get up, you work, you come home, you get paid. They think life stopped there. If you're an average person, then that's fine. That's fine. I'm not talking to somebody that want to get up and work for somebody else. I'm not talking to you. But if you want to listen, then that's fine. I'm talking to those that wondering why they can't move forward. And like I said, that's because you miss the first step. The first step is sitting down and figure out who you are. That's the first step. That is the first step. You got to figure out who you are. You got to figure out what you know. You got to figure out what you can do, your talents, and you got to know how to control your own brain. That way people can't manipulate you to work in their favor. So some stuff like that is what you have to sit down and figure out. And if all you do is go out with friends and go all over the place, you don't have the time to sit down and look within yourself. And that's just life. So if you didn't know then I'm telling you. So you may sit down and you may say, oh, I don't want to be alone because of this and because of that. I hate being alone. I'd rather be outside where the party is, where everything flashy is. No. Being around those type of stuff and not know who you are and can't control your own mind, that makes absolutely no sense. So you may sit down and think, going all over the place like that, you may think you're living a dream, but when you come back home, you're right back at square one. So with that being said, you have to put all those stuff in pause. I'm telling you, you have to put those stuff in pause. You got to ghost them, and you got to focus on yourself. Whether it takes 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, you got to put yourself in order, put yourself in line, set up something. So that way, when you start celebrating, you know what you're celebrating. Because it's pointless to go out every weekend. Why are you getting up and you're going out every weekend? Like, what are you celebrating? Absolutely nothing. So if it's like a holiday or something, then that's fine for you to do that once in a while. I'm not crucifying you. That's okay. But you have to look within yourself. Because the most powerful person is the one that know who they are and they can control their own decisions. That's just how life is. So if you think everything is harder than what it needs to be, that's because you skip the first step. And you can't go to the second step. You can't figure the second step out unless you made the first step, which is know exactly who you are. So you may get up and say, oh, my mama named me this and I like eating this. That's not who you are. You probably look at yourself every day in the mirror and you still don't know who you are. You just look at yourself, you look at your appearance and you're like, okay, I'm good. So I'll get up and I'll go to work. No. Me, I said it over and over and over and over and over again. I refuse to believe that somebody should be in their 30s and still working for somebody else. That's absolutely BS right there. That is impossible. But I'm not going to say impossible because they've been doing it. I will say that's impossible for me to believe it. That makes more sense. Yeah. Because what have you been doing that you're 30 and you're working for somebody else? Unless you want to work for somebody else, that's fine. Because you got two people in life. One that like to give orders, and then you got the other one that like to take orders. People are built different. So if you're ready to take orders, then that's fine. That's okay. That's who you are. You can't change who you are. That's who you are. But if you want to be the type of person to give orders, then you can't be taking orders. That's why when somebody say, oh, go do this or go sweep off this or go take that there, that's why you're irritated. Because you're not made to be taking orders. So if you ever work somewhere, or not even say work somewhere, if you don't like your parents controlling your own decision, that's because you're the type of person that you want to make your own decisions. Because maybe you know right from wrong, and maybe you know what's best for you. Your parents want the best for you, depending on the type of lifestyle that they have. So whatever your parents, if they work a regular job, then they will want you to get a good job. If they didn't have no job, then they want you to get any job that you could get. That's the definition of your parenting. Or your parents, sorry. Your parents want you to be the better version of them. So if you don't like when they say, oh, go do this or go do that, because you're stubborn, that's why. because you're not made to be receiving orders. Somebody shouldn't tell you what to do. That's why you hate it. And you, even if you're working and somebody says something to you, you may be a bit irritated, and then you pretend to be like, oh yeah, I'll do that right away. But deep down you're like, why is this person telling me what to do? Bro, that's a boss mentality. If you didn't know then, you know now. So how come you have a boss mentality, but you're having somebody else telling you what to do, and you're irritated every day, day by day, day in and day out? You're irritated because you hate being told what to do, and you didn't sit down for once and look within yourself and figure out who you are and try to set up a way so that way people don't have to tell you what to do and you can be your own boss. You see where I'm going? So when you miss a second step, like, we live in a world where you can't go to the second and third step before you figure out the first one. You can't move forward according unless you figure out the first one. So if you're sitting down and you're beating yourself up and you're wondering, why can't I move forward? That's because you're not focusing on yourself, because you need to ghost everybody else, especially the ones that are a distraction to you. Because people on a whole are a distraction. Everybody have that one friend that don't want to work and they got time for everything else but go getting a job. We all got that one friend. Anywhere, they all, every day, if not every day, every second day or every weekend, they always say, oh, let's go do this. Everyone have that one friend. And you know who is paying for everything? You. Or they may borrow it from somebody else. But bro, let me tell you something. The bigger your dream is, the longer the process is, and the more you have to focus. So if you have to focus on something that you're doing, especially if you're just starting, you're not gonna have time for all those distractions, those negative people, those people that are draining you. Anywhere you put yourself and you feel uneasy, you need to remove yourself from there. Because there's a reason why you feel uneasy. So in order for you to make the first step, you got to ghost everybody and focus on yourself. Everything in this world is about you. What you have to show for yourself is about you. Don't worry about your parents. Your parents may be rich, they may be poor, but your parents does not define who you are. Because if your parents are rich, that does not make you rich. And if they pass and they left everything for you in their will and you inherit everything and you still didn't know how to earn it, you will lose everything that your parents worked so hard to get. I've seen it over and over and over and over and over again. If you inherit something from your parents, you don't know how it feels to earn it. And let me tell you something, the quicker you get something you didn't earn, the faster it will go. If somebody gave you $100 and you didn't earn it, you're gonna spend it on something. Maybe you got backed up bills. Maybe you wanted to go buy something for a long time. Maybe you wanted to do something. If the moment you get some money that you didn't earn, you're gonna spend it quicker than how you receive it. But when you work your money day in and day out and you got your paycheck, you're more serious on saving and you want to know how your money is being spent. That's because you earn it. And then sometimes when you even go to the grocery store, you're like, okay, I want this and I want that, but you got to pick which one you want because you're trying to differentiate which one to get because you don't want to get something that you don't need. Because need and wants are different. Need is something you can't live without. A roof over your head, heat, AC, bed. Those type of stuff is what you need. A car to get around, a job to survive. Those are stuff you need. Like material things are stuff you want. You may go to the store and you say, you know what? This chair, I don't need this chair, but I work hard and I like this chair. You want it. So with that being said, stuff you didn't earn, you will lose it quicker. Your parents may be poor. That's why you have the mentality to be a boss. You want something. Or maybe not poor. Maybe they live an average life like a regular job where they can provide, but they're not rich. Because there's difference from being poor, having some money, and being rich. There's a difference. So if you're that person where your parents maybe have some money and they still put food on the table, that's okay. At least they're working and they're fixing themselves. And you're telling me that you see all of that and the drive that you have to do better. You don't want that for yourself? You grow up watching your parents on the bus taking taxis, all this type of stuff with you. And then you grow up and you didn't think for once to say that you want a car, you're gonna go do the same thing. Or imagine you being young and you see your parents baffling all over the place with you. Nobody to watch you. They have to bring you to work. They have to do this. They have to do that with you. They're pulling you everywhere they're going. They don't have a car. They don't really got much. And then you grow up, and instead of you seeing how your parents were living with you, you didn't decide that you don't want to do the same for your child. You're going to have a child, and then you're going to live the same life the way your parents live, instead of getting a roof over your head and getting a car. So that way, when you get a child, you're more flexible and moving around and making your life easy. Because for we as kids is we see how our parents live, but our responsibility is try to find a way in order to live better than how our parents live with us. So your kid don't have to go through how you went through. So with that being said, you think your parents baffle with you, so you should baffle with your kid? In my opinion, I would say that's strongly generational curse, because the way how your parents live with you, you grow up and you understand what was going on when you grow older. That maybe they didn't make enough to buy a car, so that's why they had to baffle back and forth with you. And then you saw the whole thing. They probably didn't go to school. They probably didn't graduate from school, and they'd send you to school. And then instead of you getting a job, you rather go all over the place, do all this type of garbage, and then boom, you're 30, you got 4 kids, you don't got no car, you still live with your parents. Come on, bro. Come on, you gotta ghost everybody, and you gotta focus on yourself. I'm not saying you can't hang out with friends, but you gotta pick which ones you hang out with. Because you may hang out with one that anytime you guys are hanging out, they always have some sad story and they trigger your emotions. They always have some people that are draining your energy. Because trust me, sometimes you go around some people, and whenever you're there with them, everything feels more difficult. You feel more irritated. You feel your energy is being drained. You feel like you have to be dragging them wherever you're going. And in my opinion, I think that's literally dead weight, because you shouldn't be pulling somebody else's weight. We're all adults. We're fully aware of what we're doing. Everyone make their own decisions, but you have to be dragging somebody else. Or maybe you want to make the step forward, and then maybe you want all of them to come with you. But guess what? They didn't get the same vision you got. They don't have the same talents you have. And they don't have the same intelligence as you. So that being said, you can't blame them for not wanting to move forward. They don't got the same gifts as you. So if they want to sit down and bring themselves all type of way, and you sit down and you feel bad that you don't want to move forward because of them, then that's fully in your control. And I will say this: never feel bad for people that you outgrew, especially when they have the opportunity to grow with you. Because everybody want to live the dream, but they want to piggyback ride somebody, or they want somebody else to do it for them. So with that being said, if somebody do it for you, you did not learn how to move forward. You did not grow throughout the process. That's why it's best for you to do it yourself. That's why it's best for you to go to everybody else and focus on yourself. So that way you grow throughout your own process. So when you start going out there and you start celebrating, ain't nobody can manipulate you, because you got your own brain and you got your head on your shoulder. So nobody can come around and take advantage of you and try to use you. Because there will be people like that. So with that being said, in order for you to have a microscope focus, you got to ghost everyone. You got to ghost everyone. And then you got to make time for those that you want to be around. That's in your hands. Because people put themselves around things that they like and interested. So if you rather be around bums, then you'll be a bum just the same as them. If you want to be around people that want to work a regular job, then that's probably what you want. But if you are the type of person that you want to go above and beyond, all those people, you gotta ghost them. There's a reason why you feel more isolated than them, because your calling is higher than theirs. So if you notice, all of a sudden you feel like you're isolated, no one want to be around you, they probably know. And they're sitting down watching. They're not going to help you. They're not going to support you, but they're just going to sit down and watch what you're doing. You may sit down and think, how come they just leave me here in this? No. They did not leave you. They stepped back for a bit and they're watching. They are. You may think they're not, but they are watching. And when you can't move forward, they see everything. You got to go some. You got to focus on yourself. You got to figure out the first step. The first step is what matters the most, because you can't know what you're good at. You can't know what you're doing. You can't know what you want. And let me tell you something. You see, if you have no idea what you want and you don't have any idea of what you're doing, your life is going to be harder than what it needs to be. And if you're living your life like off of somebody else, then your life is going to be a mess once that person is gone. That's life. So with that being said, you have to know what you want. And how are you going to know if you're around all a bunch of distractions? You will never know. So what you need to do is take at least 1 month. I'm not going to say even 1 week. 1 month. And look within yourself and figure out what is it that you really want out of this world and how to get there. Because if you don't know what you want, you can't get it. This is like putting in a blank sentence, like nothing, within a GPS. If you pull up your GPS and then you can't go nowhere, the GPS don't know where you're going. And that's your life right now. So how, if you don't know where you're going or what you're doing, then how are you going to get somewhere? Because if you pull out a GPS, you must have an address of somewhere that you're trying to go. But if you pull out a GPS and then you don't got no address, then the GPS is pointless at that point. Sorry, it's pointless. You can't use a GPS if you don't have an address to fit in it in order for you to get there. So let's say you got an address. So you got an address because you're going somewhere, you're looking for a place, and then you pull up the GPS, and then you put the address in. When you put the address in the GPS, then it show you the route. So how are you going to get there? If you walk, it's going to take longer for you to get there. If you drive, it's maybe faster. If you public transportation, then it's maybe a little bit shorter than walking, sorry. And if you got a bicycle, there's different ways to get to the same destination, depending on the ability that you have and the stuff that you have to get there. So with that being said, you have walking, bicycle, public transportation, and your own car. You got 4 ways to get to one location. See where I'm going? But it's all depend on you, of the ability that you have to get there. If you guys understand what I'm trying to say. That's just how life is. So when you put a GPS in, you may have one of those 4 things, and then you figure out how you're going to get there. You go down, you turn left, you turn right, you keep going, you turn right, you turn right, you turn left, you keep going, then boom, you got there. And everyone is not going to get to the location at the same time, because everyone don't have the same material things to get there. So everyone's timing is different. So you may have the intelligence to want to be above and beyond, and then you're sitting down and making all your distraction friends dragging you down, and then you're irritated every day, and then you're looking back at yourself and say you could have done so much better. But your friends that are doing nothing, dragging you down, bro, in order for you to figure out who you are and what you're doing, you got to ghost everyone and you got to focus on yourself. Until you figure that out, and until you set up a way that there's like progress, then you can start celebrating. But now is not the time to be celebrating. If your friends going out, let them go out. They want to go out every week. They don't want to work. They don't want to do nothing. That's fine. Let them do them. They're going to be the ones being 50 and still working. Those are the ones that end up being 50, 60 and working. Those are the ones. And the ones that can put their feet up in their 30s, those are the ones that worked hard in their 20s and set up a way where they can still be paid once they resign from working for somebody else. It all depends on what you have, the ability you have, and the material things you have to get there. Because everyone's timing is different. So stop pointing fingers at everybody else and look what everybody else is doing. Look at what you're doing. Because your life is in your hands, as I said before. It's in your hands. So I hope this message was useful for some of you guys. Thank you for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned. We'll be back doing more stuff. You go enjoy the rest of your day. I'm out. And don't forget to follow me on social media. I post daily on them.